Most people believe financial problems come from not earning enough money, but that's rarely the real reason. Because two people can earn the exact same salary for 30 years and still end up living completely different financial lives. One retires comfortably, the other is still worried about money. And the strange part is, their income was never the difference. Growing up, most of us were taught a very simple formula. You work hard, you earn money, you save what you can, and eventually things improve. It sounds logical. But when you look at how money actually plays out in real life, the story often looks very different. Someone works for 10 years, maybe they even get a few raises, but somehow their financial life still feels fragile. Unexpected expenses still feel stressful, saving feels slow, and investing feels like something for later. Now, at first glance, this just looks like normal life. But here's the uncomfortable question. If income isn't the real difference, what is? Because the financial world most people live in, and the one financially successful people operate in, look almost identical on the surface, but they quietly follow completely different rules. The difference comes down to something most people never think about: the system behind how money moves. Most people imagine money like a bucket. Income pours into the bucket, and if the bucket fills up enough, eventually you feel financially secure. But money in the real world doesn't behave like a bucket. It behaves more like a flow. Money flows in, money flows out. And small changes in how that flow is structured can completely change what happens over time. Two people can earn the exact same income for 20 years and still end up with completely different financial outcomes. Not because one was smarter, not because one worked harder, but because they unknowingly interacted with the system of money in different ways. And the surprising part? The biggest factor usually isn't income, it's behavior. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine two people, Alex and Jordan. Both earn $60,000 a year. Both receive the same 3% salary increase each year. From the outside, their financial lives look identical, but Alex automatically saves 10% of income. Jordan saves whatever happens to be left over. And here's the interesting part. Almost nobody plans to be Jordan. Most people fully intend to save and invest, but the structure of their financial life quietly prevents it, because leftover money almost never appears. Now let's run some simple math. Alex saves $6,000 per year and invests it with a modest 7% annual return. After 30 years, that grows to about $566,000. Jordan plans to save, but only manages around $1,500 per year on average. After 30 years at the same return, that becomes about $141,000. Same income, same opportunities, same economy, but a $425,000 difference. And the difference didn't come from intelligence. It came from how the system was structured. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Daniel. Daniel had what most people would describe as a stable life. Steady job, reliable income, nothing dramatic. But every year felt strangely similar. His paycheck came in, bills went out, groceries, rent, subscriptions, random spending. And by the end of the month, his account looked almost the same as it did the month before. Not empty, but not growing either. One evening, Daniel opened his banking app and started scrolling through old statements. 6 months earlier, 12 months earlier, the numbers looked almost identical, and that realization felt uncomfortable. A full year of working had passed, but financially, nothing had really moved. Then Daniel noticed something. Every dollar he earned already had a destination before it even arrived. Rent, food, entertainment, bills, everything had a job, except one thing: his future. This is where money psychology becomes fascinating, because most financial decisions people make aren't logical, they're psychological. Behavioral economists call this present bias. It simply means our brains naturally value rewards today more than rewards in the future, even when the future reward is much larger. Thousands of years ago, this instinct helped humans survive. Food today mattered more than food next year. But in the modern financial world, that same instinct quietly works against us, because money operates on a completely different timeline. Small decisions repeated over decades create enormous outcomes. But those outcomes are invisible in the moment. And that's why time becomes the most powerful financial force most people underestimate. Because once time begins compounding in the background, small differences quietly turn into enormous ones. So if money really works like a system, what does that system actually look like? For most people, the financial flow looks like this: income to bills, to spending, to saving. Saving becomes whatever happens to survive at the end, but life expands to fill available money. There is always something else to spend on. Financially stable people quietly reverse the order: income to saving/investing, to bills, to spending. The difference looks small, but over time it changes everything. Saving happens first. Everything else adjusts around it. And interestingly, the habit matters far more than the amount. A small automatic system often outperforms a large but inconsistent one, because once the system runs automatically, financial progress stops depending on motivation. It depends on structure. Wealth rarely comes from one dramatic financial decision. It usually comes from a system that quietly runs for decades. Most financial outcomes are simply the result of thousands of small decisions made over time, and the structure behind those decisions quietly determines the destination. So when people ask, how does money really work? The answer is simpler than most people expect. Money rewards structure, patience, and time. But the system that creates those things is rarely explained. And once someone begins to see that system clearly, something interesting happens. Money stops feeling random and starts feeling predictable. And once that shift happens, people rarely look at money the same way again. If this video helped you see money from a different perspective, consider subscribing, because understanding the system is often the first step toward changing it. And once that shift happens, the future can start looking very different. And the people who begin to understand this early start to notice something most people overlook. The biggest financial differences in life are rarely created by luck or by one perfectly timed opportunity. They are created by small systems quietly repeating themselves every day. A system of saving before spending, a system of investing consistently, a system of thinking long-term while most people think short-term. None of these decisions look dramatic in the moment. Most of them feel almost invisible.